Welcome to today's masterclass on mastering your Skylight Calendar. We'll be going over the settings, how to sync an external calendar, and the features included with your Skylight. First, we'll go over settings. Settings are found in that lower left cogwheel on the left side of your device. To access those, you just click that cogwheel and it'll bring up the settings menu. Here, you will see your Wi-Fi, your time zone, and the option to create a calendar display name. You can make that whatever you want. This is different than the ourskylight.com you created when you activated your device. This can be the name of your family or whatever makes sense for you and who will be using the calendar. When you update it here, we'll use the Wake family. We'll click Save, and then you'll notice on the main screen of the calendar that will be updated on the top left side of the device. Right next to that, you will notice the weather. To set up the weather, you just have to put in your zip code in the settings right below calendar display name, and you'll be able to put in your local zip code so you can have weather based on where your calendar is displayed. In these settings, you'll also see the ability to start which day to start your week on. You can choose Sunday or Monday. You'll also notice the text size here, small, medium, and large, and the ability to turn on automatic brightness. There is a sensor on your skylight which will adjust to the brightness of the room. If you turn that on, that will automatically adjust. Otherwise, if it's off, you can change whatever brightness you want from 0 to 100%. You can change that right here. In this setting, you will also see the volume. We have volume for both video and reminder, and you control that in these settings. Again, anywhere from 0 to 100%. You'll also notice the ability to turn on keyboard clicks when you use the keyboard on the device. Under the calendar settings, you will see the ability to turn on previews of chores in calendar, which we'll go over later in the presentation. You also have the option to start on a current day during the week view, and the ability to change the amount of days in your schedule view. We'll go over views in just a minute, but in these settings, you can select anywhere from 1 to 7 days for your schedule view and to start on the current day in the schedule view. For chores, this is where you can find the ability to turn on late chores. Again, we'll go over chores later in this presentation. And in reminders, you will see the ability to turn on reminders for all events. Again, this is for all events. If you do want to have reminders only for some events, you can do that when you create events or edit them. However, we'll go that in the event part of this presentation. Just for now, if you want all reminders to be on for all events, this is where you would turn that on. You can also select how many minutes before an event those reminders turn on, and then you'll want to turn on a reminder sound. Otherwise, it will just be a pop-up reminder. We'll quickly go over one of our Plus features here, and that is photos. If you are a Plus subscriber, you have access to a photo screensaver, and you can turn that on in the settings. You can select how many minutes after the calendar is idle that it turns on. Some settings, such as the order, whether shuffle or chronological, the background effects, whether it's blurred or a black edge, and how many photos at a time, 1 or 2. You can also select how often it shuffles between photos. You can also turn on sound for videos, otherwise the sound will be off by default. After you set these settings, we're also going to discuss the display density. This will control the size of the information displayed on the screen. First, we're going to show you what Cozy looks like. Cozy will be a bigger display. You'll notice everything is a little more zoomed in. You can then switch between settings and the different views on the calendar, and you can see how it is a bigger display and the information is a little larger. If we go back to settings, we can then change that to snug. Snug is your second option for a display density. This will be a little bit more wider out. You'll see here the information is more, you get more information on the screen, but it's a little smaller as well. We'll switch to calendar and you can see that difference between snug and cozy. As a quick note, if you do have the Max, our largest 27-inch, you have an additional view, and that view is called roomy. So if you have the 10 or 15-inch, you have cozy and snug. If you have the Max, you have cozy, snug, and roomy as your display density options. Now that we talked about display density, we're going to talk about the views. The views are the different ways you can see the information on your calendar. It has 4 options: schedule, daily, weekly, and monthly. As we noted, schedule can be set up in your device from anywhere to 1 to 7 days in settings. Schedule view will look like this. You'll notice there's white spacing between each event if there is time between each event. It looks very much like many external calendars you'll find of such as Gmail, iCal, and Yahoo. If you set Short Day View, you'll see this, where your calendar events are displayed with these blocks. It will show the time of the events. However, it will not show the time in between. For example, carpool is 7:30 to 8:30, lunch is at 12, so it will not show any time between. If you would like that, we would suggest using the scheduled view. The weekly view will be a similar view, but with 7 days. Again, you can start on Sunday, Monday, or current day. And then the monthly view is a monthly view of all your events. We'll switch to the month. And you can see here, you can see your entire month and all the events planned for that month in the monthly view. These are found in the upper right corner of your Skylight device, so you can easily switch between them. Me personally, I will start on my daily view, and then as the day goes along, I often switch to the weekly or monthly view to see what I have ahead. Next, we're going to go over how to sync your external calendars. First, you just open your Skylight app and you click the sync function here. When you do that, you'll see different types of calendars pop up. You'll click sync new calendar and you'll see many different options. For this demonstration, we're going to pick iCloud. It will then give us specific instructions for that type of calendar. You can see here we do need a public link. So what we will do is we'll open our calendar app in our iPhone, click calendars, and we'll see all the calendars on our phone. We'll click that red eye, and then it will bring us to a screen where we can toggle public calendar. When we turn that on, it will create a shareable link that we can copy and paste into our Skylight Calendar app. We'll click Share Link, we'll click Copy, and then we will close the calendar app and reopen our Skylight app that we just left. When we do that, you'll see here that we are able to copy and paste that same URL right here. We'll allow paste, we'll click Done, and then it will sync that calendar to our Skylight. It should take just a second to upload. We'll then go back. We can click on our calendar. You can see that it synced it. And those events have been added to our calendar, both on the app and our device. You can see all these events were uploaded to the Skylight. You can switch to a monthly view on your phone and see all these events that we have added. Next, we're going to go how to sync a Google Calendar. To do that, you just open your Skylight app again. You'll click Sync. And this time, when you do Sync New Calendar, you'll select a Google Calendar. Again, it will give you the step-by-step instructions for each type of calendar. When we do that, Google has a special option. Google allows us to two- or one-way sync. Two-way sync means if you add an event to your Google Calendar, it will be added to your Skylight, which is true of all calendars, both Google, iCal, Yahoo, Outlook, and others. However, Google has a special option where if you add it to the Skylight, you can sync it back to your Google. We have the permissions for Google with this. So for Google, if you choose to set this up, you can have any event you add to your Skylight be added back to your Google, and we call that two-way syncing. Otherwise, you can choose one-way sync for Google as well. For this demonstration, we'll click two-way sync, and we're going to log in using our personal Gmail. So whatever your Gmail is, you'll use that Gmail here. You'll click next, you'll put in your password, and then it will have you allow permissions for Skylight to access your Google Calendar. You'll want to click continue at the bottom of the screen here, and then it will quickly sync your Google Calendar when you open in your Skylight app. You can see here it asks us to select the Google Calendar. If you only have one, it will just show your Google Calendar here. Otherwise, if you have multiple calendars on your Gmail, or if you have sub-calendars set up, you can select which ones you want to sync. For this demonstration, we're just going to sync the single calendar. We'll click Done, and then that will be added to our calendar. If we click the calendar box on top, you can see it will have added all of our events. We'll do that, and you can see we have the events from both calendars we added, the original one through iCal and the one we just did through Gmail. You can then switch to a monthly view and see all those events. Once you've synced external calendars, the next step will be to set up your profiles. For most people, we do suggest setting up a profile for everyone in your family or who will be using it. You can create other ones as well, such as birthdays, anniversaries, sports calendars, whatever makes sense to you and your family. But generally, for most people, we suggest starting with a profile for each person of your family. To access profiles, you just open the Skylight app. You'll click Profiles here, and then you can add profiles to the device. You will see two have already been added. These are those two calendars we just uploaded. As we do not have any profiles set up yet, I needed to create a profile for those calendars we synced. We can then merge those with another one, or we can change the name so it reflects whose calendar it is. You can also create profiles that do not have external calendars attached. For example, we'll just click the Add button at the top of the screen. We'll then create one for Winslow who does not have a Gmail calendar. We'll just put in the name here, Winslow, and then we can select whatever color we want. For Winslow, we will do an orange. Since Winslow does not have an external calendar, any event we add on the Skylight can then be tagged to his profile. You can create as many profiles as you want. So we'll create another one for another child. This one will be for Ariel. We'll put in Ariel for the name. And again, we'll select a distinct color that Ariel will recognize as one of her colors so she can know which events are hers. We'll click a blue. We'll click Save. And then you can see we now have these two profiles in addition to those two ones we've already added. Since we want to make all the profiles feel similar, we'll go in and we'll change this to Marina's. This was the Gmail calendar we synced. It was Marina's personal calendar. So we'll just change it to Marina, and then that will be the name shown on the device and on the app. We can also change the color here. So it auto-selected a color when we synced it, but we can select whatever color we want. So we'll select a gold color for Marina. We'll click Save, and we'll then update that information on the Skylight app. Finally, we'll do Thomas's calendar. Again, we'll click the calendar, we'll click Edit, Label, and Color, and then we can change the name or the color as we want to. Again, we're going to change it to Thomas so that everyone's first name is on the profile, and then we'll change the color. We'll select a different color blue for Thomas. When we do that, we'll click Save, and then it will update to the Skylight app, and that will then be reflected on our device as well. We'll click Save, and you can see we've created 4 different profiles for everyone in our family. When we go back to the event screen, you can see here that those calendars we've uploaded on our device now reflect the colors that we have changed them to. You'll also notice in the top right corner, there are 4 different profiles there, A, M, T, W. Those stand for the initials of every profile member's name, and it should reflect their color. A for Ariel, M for Marina, T for Thomas, and W for Winslow. We've only added events for Marina and Thomas, so we have not yet created events for Ariel or Winslow. We can always select one person's profile to view. For example, if we only want to see Marina's events for the day, week, or month, we just select her profile, click Only Show Her Events, and we can see all the events for Marina for the next month. We can then flip ahead to future months. If we can switch to a daily or weekly view, and that's a great way to keep track of an individual person's events. When you're done, you can always click the profile again, turn that off, and return to a view with everyone's events for your view. After we've set up profiles, the next thing you will want to learn is how to create events on the Skylight app and on the device. To create events, all you have to do is when you're on your Skylight, click that plus button in the lower right-hand corner. When you'll do that, you'll click Create Event, and this event screen will pop up. When you're in there, all you need is a title and the time of the event. The title can be anything you want. The time will auto set to 1 hour, but you can change that to whatever you need, anywhere from 5 to as many hours as you need. You also will then need to select a profile for this event. Since Winslow is our soccer player, we'll change the time of that event to what the event should be, 4:30 to 5:30, and then we'll tag it to the profile we want to tag it to. We'll click OK, and then that time has been updated. You can see these profiles down here. We can select Winslow's profile in orange. That way the event is color for him on the device. We briefly mentioned earlier that with Google, Google allows us a two-way sync. So if you do want to add this back to your Google Calendar, you'll just select the Google Calendar here where it says pick a synced calendar. For this event, we will not sync it back, but if you do want to sync it, you would do that here. You can also make these repeating. So we can do every day, every other day, whatever we need. If we select once per week, we can select the days of the week that we want it to repeat on. So if soccer practice is Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we can select 1 week and select those days here. We can also select an end date for a repeat. So if we know soccer practice will be ending in February, we can create an end date in February, and then it will create repeating events up until that day. We'll click Save, and those events will then be added to the calendar. If we scroll down on Thursday, we can scroll down, and we'll see that has been added. We can also go to a monthly view and see that those events have been added to all the days going forward on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. If we want to see only those events, again, we just click his profile. We'll click Only Show those events, and then we can nicely see what Winslow will be doing for the next month with soccer practice. You can, of course, edit any of these events. You just tap the event on your screen, and then you can go in and edit. This is where you can turn reminders on for individual events. If you want every event to have a reminder, you can do that in settings. But if instead you only want certain events to have reminders on, you do that when creating or editing an event. You'll just turn on reminders and then select the time you want that reminder to go off. You can also edit any of the information you added to begin with. You can edit the title, the time, the profile, and how often it repeats. When you do that, you can select whether it's for this event, this and future events, or all events. You can also, of course, delete an event. So when you open it, if you click delete, you can delete event here, and it will remove that event from your calendar. You can do this for individual events. So if we know soccer practice is canceled today, it's raining, you can delete today's individual event, and it will not affect the future events that are repeating. Now that we've gone over settings, setting up profiles and events, and syncing external calendars, we'll go over some of the other features included with your Skylight. One of these features is Chores. Chores will be found on the left side of your device, right below the Calendar tab. When you click that Chores button, it will bring up your chore chart and ask you to start the setup for that feature. When we do that, we can add any of the profiles we've already created in the Events function. We can select Ariel, Thomas, Winslow, Marina, but we can also add any profile we want to and create a chore-specific profile. For example, if we had a group of chores we wanted to do together as a family, we'd create a profile called Family to assign chores to. We would just put in that as a title and then select a color for that chore chart. We can then add that profile as well as any other of the other profiles we want to our chores. For this example, we'll click Ariel and Winslow. We'll click Save. And now we can assign chores to these different profiles. We'll just click that plus button and it will bring up the screen to create a chore. When we do that, we can create a chore whatever we want. We mentioned wanting to do dinner together as a family, so we'll create a chore called Dinner Prep. Like with event, we just need a title and we need a day. It will auto set to today, but you can change it to whatever you want if you want to plan your chores for the week or the month. When you do that, you can then assign it to whatever profiles you want to. For this, we'll do family. And like with events, you can make it repeating. So you can have it repeat every day, multiple days a week, whatever makes sense for you and your family. We'll have this repeat every other day, and then we'll create that chore in our chore chart. We can, of course, go in and edit this. So if we find ourselves not getting dinner done on time, we want to make sure we're getting it done in a timely fashion. We can edit the chore, and we can make it a timed chore. To do that, we'll just click that time toggle, and then we can select whatever time we want it done by. For example, if we want this chore to be done by 5 o'clock, we'll just select 5 as the time. We can go in and edit like we do with events. We'll click OK, and we'll click Save. You can now see that this is a 17-minute late chore. At the time in this demonstration, it is 5:17, so it is letting us know that the chore is 17 minutes late. You can also create events for multiple profiles in your chore chart. For example, if you want to create a chore like brush teeth, you can create that chore and assign it to multiple people. Just a quick note here, when you put in a title for brush teeth, you'll notice a smiley face in that lower right corner. That is an emoji keyboard. So if you have any non-readers or if you just want to use emojis in your chores or events, you can click that and have full access to a range of emojis from faces to images like toothbrushes, vegetables, whatever you need, and you can add that to the chart so that everyone knows what their chores are. We'll click the green mark, we'll click save, and then we'll assign it to whatever profiles we want to. For this one, we'll assign it both to Ariel and Winslow. We can make this repeating if we want to, and then we'll click save. When we click save, you'll notice it's added to all on both Ariel and Winslow's charts. When they complete them, all they have to do on the device is click the button to mark that it's done, and they'll get emoji celebration. This is just a fun little way to celebrate wins, to celebrate chores being done. And it's a randomized from one of our 9 emojis that you can celebrate completing the chores. After chores, another free feature included with your calendar is lists. You can create lists either from the device or the app. From the app, you just click the list function and you'll see 2 preloaded lists, grocery and to-do list. Do not feel limited by those lists. You can have as many as you want. You can delete those lists, but it does come preloaded with 2. For the grocery list, we'll add apples and we'll add celery. And then those will then also be reflected on the device itself. You can also create lists on the app or the device that are completely new. We'll create one called moving lists. All we need is a title. We'll put in moving, and then we'll select a color for that list. We'll do an orange color. When we do that, we'll click save, and it will then quickly create that list. We can then click add items and add however many items we want. So if we need boxes, if we need tape, we can add it to these lists, and then they'll be reflected both on the app and on the device. We'll switch to a view from our device. We'll then click that lower left corner where it says lists, right below photos, and then you'll notice those same items are here. You can also select your grocery list that we just created, and you'll see those items there. The great thing about this is then you can mark them off here as well. So if you are out and someone is at home, they can mark celery as if we have it in the fridge, and then it will be marked off on your device as well, so you know you do not have to get celery. You can create lists both on the app and the device. So if you want to create a list on the device itself, you'll just click that list feature and click create a new list. Now that we've gone over the free features included with your calendar, we will go over some of our plus features if you're a plus subscriber. First plus feature we'll go over is our magic import, which is now found under Sidekick. All magic import is how you can add events either from photo or PDF and have them quickly added to your Skylight device without having to manually input that data. All you need is a photo of a flyer, for example, or a PDF, and then you will send that to your ourskylight.com address that you created when you activated your account. To do so, you'll just compose an email. You'll put in your individual ourskylight.com address. Mine is Skylight House, so I put mine in there. For the subject, you'll put in whatever profile you want the event tagged to. For example, this is a soccer tryout flyer. I'm in Winslow's my soccer player, so we'll put that as the title of the subject of the email. We can then attach that flyer or photo to our email, and we'll click send. When we do that, we should quickly get a confirmation email, and it will summarize what we just added. We'll go to inbox, we'll refresh, and you can see that the confirmation email has been sent to us. When we open that email, you will see that it includes an image that we just uploaded, so you will see a preview of the event you added. And then it'll also show you what was added to the Skylight. You can see here it included the title, it included the time and date, and then it also included the location. If we need to, for any reason, we can also undo the import from our email quickly by clicking undo import. If we switch to our device, we can then see the event has been added under Winslow's color of orange. We can, of course, open that event and edit as we need to. So we'll open it, and we can, of course, turn on reminders for the event. So if you want to turn on reminders for this individual event, you can just turn the reminders on here. You can also edit in any way you need to. You can change the time, you can change the title if you need to, or the date if the event changes. So you can change that time as you need to, as you would when creating or editing events. You'll click save, and that will then be updated. You can, of course, also delete here as well. So if this is no longer a relevant event for you, you can always open the event and delete it. And the final feature we'll be going over today is Meals. Meals is how you can add recipes from your Skylight app to your device, whether from URL or from photo, and plan meals for the entire week. To do so, to upload a recipe, you just open your app and you'll click the Sidekick feature. You can then either plan meals using our AR assistant, or you can import your own recipes. To import a recipe, you can just find it via URL online or take a photo. To do a URL, all we have to do is click the Add with URL and copy and paste the URL here. We'll then click Next. It will generate the recipe here, and then it will send it to our device. You'll see this animation showing a mixing bowl, letting you know the recipe is being added to your Skylight device. Once it's added, you can see that it's been added here, and then we can click Go to Recipes if we want to view those recipes. On your device, to access meals, you just click the Meals tab on the left-hand side of the device below Rewards. When you do that, you'll click Next, and you can start adding meals for the week for 4 meals a day. We'll start with breakfast. We'll add from our preloaded recipes already on the Skylight. We can add bagels. We can hold and click again, and we can add a second dish. We'll click eggs. You can also add your own. So for lunch, we'll click lunch, and then we'll add our own recipe. We'll just click add recipe, and we'll add fries. We can just type that in. We don't need to include any steps or ingredients if we do not want to. We can just use the title, and then we'll click save, and it will be added to our meal plan for lunch. And of course, like with events, we can make this repeating. We can have fries every day for lunch if we want. We can also, of course, edit and delete if we want to remove lunch. If we want to remove fries, we can edit and we can delete as needed. We uploaded that recipe earlier for dinner. So if we click that dinner box, we can then see New England clam chowder in our recipes. When we add that, it will then add it to our dinner plan for the night. We can, of course, click that, and then it will include all the ingredients and all the steps for making that dinner tonight. We can, of course, edit this as we want to. So if, as we're cooking, we decide we want to make it creamier and add more butter, if we want to reduce salt, we can edit the recipe here, and then that will be saved for future recipes. That way, when we add this going forward, it will change any edits that we make, and we can keep making the same recipe going forward. You shouldn't feel limited by these 4 categories. So it does come preloaded with breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack. You're limited to those 4, but you can change the titles of any of those that you want. We'll show you how to do that in just a second. For example, I don't use the snack feature very often. And so I changed mine to desserts as I tend to make desserts more frequently. And that way I can plan my desserts going forward for the week. We just edit that recipe. We'll click save, and then we can edit any of the other categories that we want to. So for example, all we have to do is click categories in the top right, and we can see all these 4 categories. We can select to only view a few of them. So if we do not want to see breakfast, if we do not want to see snack, we can turn those off, and they will no longer be displayed on our meals feature. If we want to edit them, for example, as I mentioned with snack, I can turn it back on. I can click that pencil button, and then I can change that to dessert. When I do that, it will change the title. I can also change the color. So if I don't want to do that brown color for dessert, instead I can change it to dessert, and I can make it pink. We'll click save, and then I have a new category where I can add meals to. Thank you so much for attending today. If you have any questions, just email us at vip@skylightframe.com. Thanks again.